Bhagavaram Samma Sambuddho Smagato Ayena Bhagavata Dhammo Supatipanno Yasa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Dhammayang Bhagavantam Sanghamang Sasangham Ime Sakari Yantaraham Arutite Abhipujayama Sadhunu Bhante Bhagava Sunjira Parini Bhutopi Pajima Janatanu Gamba Manasa Ime Sakare Dukatapanaka Ragute Patikanatu Amma Kandi Garatam Etaya Sukaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddhan Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swatato Bhagavata Namo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami Namayam Buddhassa Bhagavato Bhagavaganamakarandaro Namaste Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So, very good, very nice to see everyone again. So please now, everyone here, everyone online, sit up well, good posture, straight back, body and mind alert. And yes, cameras on, please, so I can keep my beady eye on you. And you close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you leave everything behind. You put down all that you've been worrying about and thinking about and dreaming about, everything. Put it all down. And do your best now to keep your attention here and now, at least while we're together. And we commence as usual by bringing to mind the Buddha, recollecting our great teacher and example, reminding ourselves of his perfect mind, a mind that was absolutely clear of any kind of defilement or anything that might soil or spoil or damage your mind. And not just that, but even distant from, far away from any form of corruption. A great and amazing being, perfect in knowledge and conduct, and with a mind too of infinite compassion. Now, when you are reminded of the Buddha, when you happen to see a Buddha Rupa, or even think of the Buddha, be inspired to cultivate your mind too, to free your mind as well from all greed, hatred, and delusion, and to be free of all suffering. And approach this practice with a mind of loving kindness. Remember to be kind to yourself and care for yourself, and to appreciate your good qualities, and to accept yourself. And likewise, be kind and caring of others. Appreciate their good qualities and be accepting of them too. And now take a moment to remind yourselves of the harsh truth of your human condition. That, like it or not, time is passing, and as it does so, inevitably, you're getting older. It's a one-way street. There's no turning back. Life hath but one direction, and time's its only measure. And during this time, during one's life, at almost any time, something can go wrong. You can become unwell, meet with an accident. It's a very hazardous business, life. And then, despite your struggle, sooner or later, you're going to die. And all those around you, all those you love, everyone, all that lives, must die. We're all subject to aging, sickness, and death. We can't get away from this. And it's as well to face it, to contemplate it, to get to know it, and to let it encourage you to use the time that you have as beneficially as you can. So, just make sure you're sitting up well. Remember, you have to remain absolutely still. And quite deliberately now, gather and concentrate your mind and direct your attention to your body. Become mindful and aware of your physical presence. Be aware of the solid nature of your body. And notice that sensation, that small movement as you breathe in and breathe out. Become aware of your breathing. And be careful of noting just where and how you perceive the breath. It might be some slight sensation around your upper lip. It may be a more general awareness over your heart. It could be the movement of your abdomen as you breathe in and breathe out. Whichever it is, wherever it is for you, know that place. Keep your attention there. And concentrate now on being mindful and aware of each in-breath and each out-breath. Remember that if your mind wanders, if you catch yourself dreaming or thinking, you have to do something about it. If it's only slight and in the beginning, you may be able to bring your mind straight back to the breath. But at other times it's not so easy. And you would do well then to simply be aware of what's happening to you, what you're doing, what you're experiencing, just watching it, just being mindful and aware of it, and then quite deliberately letting it go. and finding the breath again, and establishing your concentration on the in and out breath again. So please, everyone, keep your very good, very still posture. But now, during the next few minutes, while I'm talking, concentrate on simply listening. Make listening to the Dharma, your practice. We can, in fact, concentrate on almost anything. We can make practically anything our object of concentration and bring our minds to a level of stillness. Some things are better for this than others. And the Buddha, what did he use? What did he practice to bring his mind to enlightenment? He practiced concentration on the in and out breath, which is what you've been attempting this evening. And this is the most well-known meditation practice, I should think, within Buddhism. People call it now often breath meditation, and I rather object to that because we're not exactly meditating on the breath. We're actually trying to focus our minds, making them concentrated and still focused on the breath, using the breath. And the breath is very appropriate for this task because obviously we have the breath with us all the time. So you could stop and practice anytime, anywhere, really. You have the breath with you. You don't need any special equipment. There it is. But it's not always very easy to do this. And the trouble is, it's not interesting. And if you're a busy person and your mind is used to being busy, then immediately trying to keep your mind still with one thing like the breath can be quite challenging. And it might be better for you to watch your mind. You can take the breath still as your main object, but when your mind moves, then you pay attention. You watch your mind. And you will probably find when you do this and you become mindful and aware of thoughts appearing, feelings appearing, find yourself listening to some noise or other, that your mind actually begins to concentrate. Concentration and insight are the two wings of Buddhist practice. And insight is achieved by watching yourself, watching your experiences, becoming aware of the nature of your experiences. Now, it is quite usual to begin by simply concentrating, and the breath is the favored thing to focus on. But the Buddha made clear that for some people, it will be insight, vipassana, first, watching your mind, watching and seeing by degrees the impermanent nature of your experience. That will come first, and concentration will follow. And for some, it's really bringing these two together. And this, I think, is probably the best way, really. Certainly not to think of the two as separate. I think that's rather a mistake. And then the fourth, which is in the scriptures not very clear, but probably is meant to be what many of us do, and that is to switch from time to time back and forth between the two. And we might do that because developing awareness of one's mind, you find that perhaps sometimes your concentration is falling off a bit, and so you give that a greater emphasis. But there we are. There are these two wings to one's practice. Ultimately, they're going to have to come together because we need the concentrated mind and the aware mind to see and know the nature of things. And so this is what we attempt. This is our practice. As I've said, you don't have to concentrate on the breath. You can watch your mind, but also you can use something like the Buddha. You can practice what is known the recollection of the Buddha. Or you might use loving kindness. These are also quite popular practices. And what is an advantage when you do that is that if you happen to be a person, for example, who has a lot of anger, then when you concentrate your mind on loving kindness, you also are administering an antidote to your anger. So there's an extra benefit. And if you are of a rather doubtful turn of mind, then when you concentrate on the Buddha, not only will your mind come together, but you may be inspired by the vision of the Buddha, or just internally the sound of that word, Buddho, Buddho. Some of you may know that in the texts, in the stories of the Buddha, not very long after his enlightenment, he was at Welawana, the bamboo grove. And he was being looked after at that time by a certain person there, whose relative was a very wealthy man from another part. And that very wealthy man happened to come by and, of course, called in to see his friend. and found that instead of being sort of welcomed and made a fuss of, everyone was occupied with something special, which he couldn't quite grasp to begin with. He inquired, "Is it a wedding? What are you doing?" And then he was told that the Buddha was coming to eat there the next day. The Buddha, that word, it had an amazing effect on him. And he became very excited by it. He couldn't get it out of his mind. The Buddha, the Buddha. And the idea of actually meeting the Buddha was tremendous. His name was Anathapindika. And following that, he went back to Savatthi, where he lived, and purchased at great expense a piece of land from Prince Jeta. It became known as Jetavana. It was where the Buddha later spent a great deal of time. So you see, some people will feel this great faith, great inspiration from this word, the Buddha, and what it means. So what does it mean? It means knowledge. It means knowing. It means waking up to the true nature of things. And this is the marvelous thing about this path. Really and truly, it is not a sort of belief or faith. It's a tremendous voyage of discovery. And here we have the rather tricky bit, the difficulty about developing Buddhism, because we can't help ourselves reading about it, learning about, and to some extent we need to do this. But then, if we're not careful, we start attaching again to views and beliefs instead of using what we're reading or hearing and discovering, using it to progress and to know. This is what Buddhism is, a path of knowledge. Belief always means that there is something there you don't know. You believe it, but you don't know. Buddhist practice is about knowing, ultimately knowing the true nature of things. And this you have to discover for yourself through your own experience. Each person has to realize for themselves. Even if you have the great good fortune to have a Buddha, to teach you, Buddhas do but point the way. And it's for each person themselves to walk that path and realize the truth for themselves. What the Buddha taught was to not only outline the problem, but to offer the way of solving it, the path of practice, the Noble Eightfold Path, which he often expressed in terms of Sila, Samadhi, Panya, morality, meditation, and wisdom. So there is the practice of meditation, supported by virtue and good conduct. And out of that practice of developing your mind comes wisdom, comes understanding of the true nature of things. Wisdom or right view in Buddhism means that. It means also, of course, really knowing, really understanding, really making your own the Four Noble Truths. Insight means also an understanding which makes a difference. We can use the word insight, as some do, in quite a casual way. And we do have, a good idea flips into our mind. Oh, we have a bit more understanding of something. People think of that as an insight. But insight in Buddhism, vipassana, means a knowledge which changes you, changes your direction. It may not be complete. It may not yet be the wisdom of knowing and really understanding the true nature of things, but it's keeping you on the path. It's turning your mind, changing the direction of your life. And we achieve that by a practice of concentration and insight, observation, clear observation, watching one's mind, watching one's experiences in quite a detached fashion, and thereby seeing, for example, that whatever we experience is constantly changing. We think of so much as real and ours. We put a kind of frame around everything. We give it a form, an appearance in our minds, our aches and pains, our resentments and all the rest. And we feed them and we grow them. But if we can sit back and simply observe, we no longer feed them, we no longer grow them, and we begin to see their nature, that they are simply movements of our mind, changing phenomena. Nothing there that we can call ours or see as being me or myself. So that's enough from me for tonight. We'll sit for a little, just a moment or two. And during these closing moments, please focus your minds on metta, loving kindness. May you and all beings be well and happy. May you and all beings be free from all suffering. May you and all beings realize for yourselves the secure peace of Nibbana. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swagato Bhagavanta Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. So thank you all very much for coming. Very good to see you again. I hope you have a good week and we'll meet again soon.